Dennis Boyd was an outstanding all-state basketball player in Oregon. He learned how to block shots.
He's got good size, got up in front of that one and knocked it down.
14-13, Seattle leads Denver after that blocked extra point. And very little return. Only to the 19-yard line goes rookie Jeff Moore from Jackson State. Denver now has the momentum here late in the first half. Let's go back to that touchdown pass. M&M, Morton to Moses.
It's always amazing to me how the quarterback seems to be able to sense the movements of a receiver he works with long enough. You saw how long Morton hung onto that football. Waited until the last possible second, lofted it out there, hung it up beautifully. That's pretty football.
Well, that's a pretty productive tandem, isn't it?
Pretty productive. That's better way to describe it.
Al Hunter in the ball game for the first time. Zorn fires from McCullum, wide open on the sidelines and out of bounds at the 36. And a flag is down. They may call that one back. No, it's going to be personal foul. Yes, against Denver, roughing the passer. So they'll tack on another 15, and that'll take it all the way to the Denver 49-yard line.
Well, we've seen some exhibition of passing, both from Morton and now from Zorn. They've had very productive days. Watch this. The blitz is on. 53, Gradishar, 72, Latimer. And Zorn just quickly able to set up, and that's where that great foot speed comes in handy. They could not get to him in time to stop him. Good play by McCullum, feeling the opening.
Look at the move by McCullum. He looks like he's made of jello the way he wiggled. He had everything of his own moving, but didn't fool anybody else.
Well, the penalty goes against 72. Latimer, I think, frustrated at getting there so quickly and wide open and finding the ball gone. He popped Zorn, and of course that's not the way it's to be done.
10 for 15, as you can see. Zorn, a good first half. He's on a 300-plus day. McCullum in motion on the 48 of Denver. And the quick handoff to Al Hunter, the former All-American at Notre Dame. Fastest running back in the Seahawk camp. 5'11", 195. He was the first Notre Dame runner to rush for over 1,000 yards in one season from quite a family. He has brothers that have attended West Point and Harvard.
One of the things that's interesting about this Seattle game plan so far is that Largent has been out of it. He has been taken away from Zorn by the defense.
But that doesn't mean
people to go to.
Merlin, but that doesn't mean he has not contributed, does it?
No, absolutely not.
And that one's aimed for him, and it's intercepted. Largent making the tackle. The whistle did not blow, and so the lateral to Louis Wright. And flags are down, and so is Wright at the 17-yard line. It was Chris Payne, or was it Foley? Steve Foley made the interception, and then when the whistle didn't sound, he was able to flip it back to his fellow cornerback Louis Wright. And now let's check that penalty. That ball was not thrown well.
No, it wasn't. Zorn is still a young quarterback, and he does tend to make some mistakes. He made a mistake there throwing into traffic. 3 defenders actually around Largent, and he's made some of those work during the year. That one did not work. They're going to turn the ball over to the Denver Broncos.
Personal foul, clipping on a return.
Zorn intercepted for the first time today as we focus on Largent.
Let's see how well covered Largent is. And again, it's got to be frustrating for Largent to have that many people on him all day. Both cornerbacks, number 20 Louis Wright and Foley, right on top of him. And a third player, that's Charlie West, right in there. That's really the kind of, and that was a lateral. That Foley was dropping it off. Last week, Gradishar lateraled back to number 20 Louis Wright, who runs a legitimate 4.4. He went, what, 78, 68 yards something for a touchdown last week.
It was longer than that. He went 78 yards with that lateral.
Well, they wanted a duplication of that. They didn't get it.
14-13, Denver with the ball trailing, and Lytle breaks it out to the 22-yard line, and a first down. Lytle saw plenty of Rose Bowl duty for the University of Michigan. Hit by Keith Butler and Autry Beeman after a 14-yard gain. The Denver Broncos tied with the San Diego Chargers, and they will meet in the final game of the season in San Diego, Denver having already beaten Don Coryell's team in their first meeting. Oakland still with possible hopes of a playoff spot, but they'll need help from elsewhere. Seattle is out of it at 7-7, but playing tough today. First down toss by Morton. Dumps it out. Keyworth 25, 30, and to the 31-yard line. Dave Brown made the tackle. It's near another first down. Plenty of time for Denver. 3 minutes left in the first half.
Morton's an old hand at using that clock, too. Uses it very well in the 2-minute period, although he's a little bit handicapped at times because plays are coming in from the sideline. It does take a while to get them to and from the field.
Red Miller's club will have an extra day to prepare for San Diego, and of course even an extra day after that, because that'll be a Monday night game as they measure just short of the first down. It'll be 2nd and inches and a down with which to play, and let's see how Morton uses it. Boy, you say games remaining. Is that an understatement? One game at San Diego.
And that's a tough one, and everything really hinges on that game. Even if Denver were to lose today and win in that game against San Diego, they would win because of their head-to-head victories over San Diego.
But there are other factors too, and that is that should they lose and then lose again, then maybe they lose the wild card chance. And there's also home field to figure in here.
A lot of things still. And definitely home field is one of the most important things that they're battling for right now.
Oakland will get Seattle at home, and they play the Browns tomorrow. That's a big game. Whoever loses that one will be out of the wild card picture. Lytle. Now the Broncos play it conservatively and gain 2 yards in the first down on 2nd and inches. The clock shows 2:44 and running. First half that has featured touchdowns by Sherman Smith, 17-yard run, and also a run of 1 yard off tackle. Then Morton, a bootleg sweep to the right to score, and a Morton to Moses pass, making it 14-13, the extra point blocked.
Big extra point, too. Of course, looked like it was going to be a tied ball game, and that block by Boyd makes a big difference in this ball game right now.
Upchurch left, and Moses way out to the right. Morton down the middle to Moses, and he's open again, and he goes all the way to the Seattle 44-yard line. The Broncos on the move as we approach the 2-minute warning. Moses has had a big first half. That's a 24-yard play. Moses from Morton. And for Haven Moses, his 4th catch of this half. The 2-minute warning has been given. Timeout here in the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington. The Seahawks lead the Broncos 14-13, but Denver on the march.
I didn't always fly my own plane home from the tour.
Arnold Palmer back again in Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
I had to do a lot of driving on a lot of roads in my early years as a pro, so I didn't need car troubles. Well, I just remembered what I had learned from my dad about Pennzoil. And you know, since then, Pennzoil and I have been down a lot of roads together.
Pennzoil, America's asked-for motor oil.
You can feel us coming now, a fresh look on the scene, with a whole new style of living, light and crisp and clean. That's why now we say the age of 7-Up is here, because we love that crisp, refreshing taste, so light and crystal clear. Move it up, look it up, America is turning 7-Up, reaching up, feel it up, America is turning 7-Up.
Hi, I'm Phil Simms of the New York Giants. I'm here to talk to you on a very critical subject, energy conservation. This winter, think twice when you set your thermostat. Energy, you can't afford to waste it.
Seattle leads 14-13. Seattle leads the Denver Broncos. Ball at the 43-yard line, and the following was brought to you on behalf of the NFL and NBC. 2 minutes remaining in the half. Denver trying to gain the lead before the intermission, and Morton back to throw. Open again is Moses, and down he goes at the 23-yard line. And Craig Morton with a hot hand. He has now completed 10 of his last 12 tosses, and that one went for 19 yards.
And he had his hands up to signal for a timeout, too, as he wanted to stop it. Unfortunately,
Riley Odom's on the sidelines for the Denver Broncos, number 88. He freak accident in practice 3 weeks ago, broke that left forearm, but in uniform today, and Red Miller has said he thinks that Odom might be available for that crucial game at San Diego a week from Monday. And of course, Odom's one of the outstanding tight ends in this league, and they have missed his services. Although Egloff has done a solid job in replacement, he isn't an Odoms.
He's not a Riley Odoms. There aren't many of them like him around. And in talking to him in the locker room before the game, he said, I think I can play and play effectively. There's not much pain in the arm. But you've got to wonder, looking at him and seeing the size of that cast, if it's not going to drag him down a bit.
Well, in the coming weeks here on NBC, the Fiesta Bowl, that young Pittsburgh team so impressive in their finale as they beat rival Penn State, will take on the Arizona Wildcats, who certainly will have plenty of vocal support playing in their backyard. And then the granddaddy of them all. You know, someone was asking me the other day, Merlin, I know you feel the same way, about assignments that you get. Are you excited? Are you thrilled about certain assignments? This is a privilege for us to be able to go to the Rose Bowl when you think of the great people who have had that honor to call the granddaddy. And Ohio State, USC, a possible national championship.
What a great game to be able to be a part of.
Indeed. Morton, 10 out of the last 12, stays on the ground this time, and it's read well by the Seahawks. 57, Peter Cronin there to make the hit on Jim Jensen. Clock is running, 1:36, 1:35 left.
No huddle. They'll go right from the ball.
Denver has 2 timeouts remaining. Morton sends Lytle out on a wing right, and fumble, and who's got it? Morton comes up with it, and there's Moses, the omnipresent Haven Moses, and it's another completion to the 10-yard line. That isn't exactly as drawn by Red Miller.
It looked like a little bit of magic going on in there. One of those magic tricks. The ball bounced off the turf. That's not the kind of play you'd see on a grass field. Bounced up, zipped it down to Haven Moses. Big, big play.
Morton with one dribble, and the shot is complete to Moses, and we have a timeout. 1 minute, 18 seconds left in the half. Denver has the ball at the Seattle 10, trailing by 1.
I'm Sam Bertigliano, coach of the Cleveland Browns. I started my career as a high school coach. 1 million young people are playing high school football each year. It's a game of speed, contact, and excitement. These athletes receive guidance, conditioning. They learn to think, develop leadership, discipline, and teamwork. High school sports need your attendance. The NFL encourages you to see a high school game this week.
I'm Mike Haynes of the New England Patriots, speaking for the Job Corps. If you're between 16 and 21 and out of school or out of work, you may qualify for the Job Corps. The Job Corps can train you in a skill to get a well-paying job. You get paid while you learn, with free room, board, and medical care. Sound good? Pick up your phone and call your state employment service. The Job Corps does it best.
The Job Corps does it best.
Preceding announcement furnished as a public service by the National Football League. Got to be a little lucky in this game, too.
You sure do. Both Morton and Jensen had their hands on the ball. Jensen said, you take it. Morton did a great job, and he's back at it again.
And again, it's to his favorite target. No, this time it's Dave Preston who makes the catch down at the 1-yard line. So it's 2nd down and 1. Conceivably, the Broncos can get a first down without a touchdown. And we're in the final minute, and the Broncos seem to have all the cards in their hands.
The Broncos have 241 yards already in this game, total yardage. Seattle 199, a big offensive first half. Not too much defense.
Jensen and Lytle behind Morton. Jim Jensen, touchdown, and the Broncos lead for the first time. The only thing that they might have done wrong on that drive is score too soon, because Seattle will get a chance with 40 seconds left.
Jensen, a big, strong back, and he takes full advantage of that strength there. Watch him, number 30, ducks inside, has good speed, and literally carries number 53, Keith Butler, into the end zone with him. Another quick look at it. You see some of the good blocking there by the lineman. That 62, Glassick, who has done a fine job of leading all day. You saw him carry Keith Butler all the way in. Turner did not miss that one.
So it is now 20-14 Denver. 40 seconds left in the half, and Jim Zorn and the Seahawks will try to muster a drive that would get them at least 3.
Another quick look at some of Morton's magic.
In this case, it's just getting it to the big back Jensen, and he powers his way into the end zone.
Oh, look at those legs. tree stumps, a couple of them there.
Yeah, they really have improved their running attack since we saw them about the 5th, 6th game of this season. Merlin, they remember then most of their backs had averages down in the 3s. Now almost everyone with a 4-yard average or better.
Yeah, they were hurting too. Lytle had been injured, had a couple of hangnail injuries. Denver has been a very fortunate team in terms of injuries. In fact, Riley Odom's injury, if it were not for that, they would be playing almost with the team they started with on the year. They've had people out 3 or 4 games, 2 or 3 games. They have not had the crippling injuries that many other teams in the NFL have suffered during this last season.
Right. Red Miller and the Broncos have a 20-14 lead. NFL 79. Brian Gumbel back in New York with the highlights. Mike Adamle with us here in Seattle. So stay with us at halftime. That was an interesting pregame show. I really got a kick out of that. The Alaskan contingent of fans for the Seahawks.
Well, not only that, but Tom Glassick's story, a chance to look at a collection, an amazing collection of soldiers that he keeps and lines up. Good story.
Turner's kick is a good one. Moore at the 2-yard line. 15, twists out of 1 tackle, and a lot of work to get to the 20-yard line, where the clock stops with 33 seconds. And all 3 timeouts available to Seattle. No, they have 2. They had to use 1 early in that first quarter, recall, to avoid a 5-yard delay of game. So they have 2 timeouts remaining.
They'd like to have that one back right here. Obviously, Zorn will probably take an advantage here or take a shot here. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain. They may well try and go deep.
Turner possibly shaken. Well, that was an impressive drive by Denver. 92 yards in 9 plays. Took them only 3 minutes, 22 seconds to take the lead. Now let's see what Zorn does. Left-hander fires to Al Hunter at the 20. And Hunter ducks out of bounds at the 26-yard line. And again, he hit his running back so that he did not have to wait at all. He was on the dead run upfield.
I'm still impressed with the quickness of Zorn. One of the things a quarterback needs to have is time to look over the defense. And the quicker he can get back and get set, the more time he has to throw that football, the more time he has to choose between his receivers. And Zorn is absolutely amazing. Foot speed, and that's something we talk about for defensive linemen and offensive linemen, equally important than a quarterback.
Zorn on 2nd down and 4 has Largent and McCullum both to the left. And out of the backfield once again. It's time to Moore, but he doesn't get out of bounds, and he doesn't get the first down either at the 28-yard line. So the Seahawks call time with 17 seconds left in the half. Timeout in the Kingdome, where Denver leads it 20-14.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. Budweiser wish you and yours the very best of everything this holiday season.
17 seconds, 1 timeout left for Seattle. They trail Denver 20-14. 3rd and 2 at the 28 of the Seahawks. Zorn stays on the ground, and it fails as Al Hunter right into the arms of the Bronco defense. Bob Swenson, 51, was an uninvited guest. Time called, 9 seconds left.
Swenson, a hero in last week's game. He was the man that forced the fumble that Gradishar picked up that was lateral to Louis Wright that went for the touchdown. Broncos have been much more impressive in the first half of this game than they have in the first halves of several of their preceding games. They have been a slow starters and have not really played the kind of football they're capable of. They've played lethargically a little bit today, but they have had enough talent and enough ability to stick at the end zone when they had to, and they have had a good second quarter.
Denver has called this timeout with 9 seconds left. Patera talking with Herman Weaver. I wonder if he's contemplating a fake in this situation. I mean, nothing is surprising for the Seattle fans. They have gambled very deep in their own end. Jerry Rome, we should talk about just a second while we have a moment, who is calling all of the plays. The former quarterback with the Cowboys, Rams, is the offensive coordinator, calls the plays for Patera, and they say he's just been a genius up in that press box, and a lot of those gimmick plays are of his design.
While we're talking about Jerry Rome, our best wishes along to his mother, who has been ill this week. Rome spent part of the yesterday with her. We certainly hope she is feeling well.
All right, Weaver is going to kick. Chris Payne, a fair catch at the 37-yard line. 1 second left. That's interesting because with that fair catch, although it's too far downfield, right now Denver does have an option. They could tee it up and have a free kick, and if Turner had enough leg and could kick it through the uprights, it would be worth 3 points. Had that ball been caught on a fair catch around the 50-yard line, it might have been interesting.
Well, and they might have tried it. I teased Jim Turner a little bit. I can afford to do that. He was college quarterback when I was at Utah State, so our friendship goes back a ways. But he is a fine kicker and has had a tremendous record. Only George Blanda has more points, and I think Turner is probably going to catch him in the field goal department.
Now the last play of the half, unless there's a penalty. 1 second remaining. Seattle drops back considerably downfield, and Jim Jensen rumbles for about 12 yards, and so goes the first 30 minutes here in the Kingdome in Seattle. Plenty of offense, and I guess we can expect more of the same when we return in the second half. At the intermission, it's the Broncos 20, the Seahawks 14.
What comes out of a loudspeaker is only as impressive as what goes into it. Pioneer's HPM speakers have a unique super tweeter that breathes to produce incredible highs. Its driver delivers remarkably crisp mid-range. Its bass you not only hear, but feel. So instead of sounding great on part of the music, HPM speakers sound great on all of it. Pioneer, we bring it back alive.
This is a first-class, honest-to-goodness, exciting car.
Lee Iacocca, chairman of Chrysler, invites owners of T-Bird in Monte Carlo to test drive the new Dodge Murata.
I like the Dodge Murata a lot better than the Ford Thunderbird.
The Murata's got my Monte Carlo beat.
Murata's engineered for fuel efficiency, but not at the expense of styling or luxury.
I like the comfort and the feel of the Murata better than my Thunderbird.
Get a 1980 Murata now at a participating dealer and get a $300 check direct from Chrysler.
Holidays were made for Michelob. Hi. Holidays were made for special friends.
What better beer than Michelob for the holiday season? Special enough to make the right impression, friendly enough to show you care. No wonder Michelob has become a holiday tradition.
Holidays were made for Michelob.
At the half, Denver rallying from 14-0 down, leads 20-14, and we almost had an exclusive here in Seattle. Some of the reporters thought there was a new Seahawk working out yesterday.
I borrowed some equipment to run, and I was jogging around while the practice was getting ready, and one of their assistant coaches kept looking at me and looking at me. Finally, he came over, got close enough to recognize me. He said, I knew something was wrong here. I thought you were a new player. We don't allow beards here.
And so it goes here at Seattle. Now let's go back to NFL 79 in New York.
With less than a minute to play in the first half, Denver's Jim Jensen goes over from 2 yards out to cap off a 20-point second quarter. Denver Broncos leading at the half 20-14. Hi, I'm Brian Gumbel. We'll have highlights of that game, plus Dallas, Philadelphia, and the latest developments from Iran in a special update right after these messages from your local station.
On Chips, Ponch and John must tame a rowdy gang of wheelchair daredevils.
Being disabled doesn't give you special privileges when it comes to safety.
Before they go too far. Then, BJ puts his neck on the line.
I want McKay dead.
When he teams up with an Indian to stop the slaughter of wild horses. A night of action and adventure Saturday.
Thank you, Robert.
I'll keep on it, Robert.
You're going on a trip on a Sunday?
Uh-huh, we have to get to Washington.
But you may not be able to get fuel on the way.
We won't have to. We only need about 10 gallons. This is a Volkswagen Rabbit diesel.
Oh.
It gets the best mileage of any car in America.
You mean it gets you from New York to Washington on only 10 gallons?
And back.
Volkswagen does it again.
For the man who gets the most out of life, Pierre Cardin has created Pierre Cardin Man's Cologne. It's the fragrance the well-dressed man is wearing. Pierre Cardin Man's Cologne. Today is too important to wear anything else. Pierre Cardin gift sets from $12.50 to $28.
A special holiday gift, now in the men's bar at the Bond.
After a whole day of rafting, I find all these guys got to drink is light beer. Have you ever tasted light beer? This is Coors Light.
The surprising taste of Coors Light.
Hey, this isn't bad at all.
Comes from pure Rocky Mountain spring water and high country barley.
This is darn good.
And a way of brewing that squeezes a lot of the calories out but leaves all the taste in.
Guys, I'm surprised.
Coors Light, the surprise is how good it tastes.
You're watching King 5, Seattle.
With less than 10 days to go in the regular season, we are at halftime of the Denver-Seattle game. Broncos out in front of the Seahawks by a score of 20-14 on the strength of 20 second quarter points. We're going to get to the highlights of that game in a moment, but first we have a special report on the latest events in Iran. For that, let's switch to Washington. NBC News White House correspondent John Palmer.
Good afternoon. On this, the 35th day of the crisis in Iran, Iranian Foreign Minister Ghabsadeh has announced that so-called spies among the American hostages will be paraded before an international commission. That commission, says Ghabsadeh, will be made up of anti-imperialists and anti-Zionists who will investigate alleged American crimes in Iran over the past 26 years. The Iranian foreign minister did not say whether the panel would be empowered to pass judgment on the captives, nor when it would be formed. Diplomatic sources say the government might be looking for a face-saving compromise that would avoid actually putting the hostages on trial before an Islamic court. For reaction on this latest development, here's NBC News correspondent Bill Lynch at the White House.
President Carter rejects the idea of a commission to investigate spy charges. During a breakfast with reporters here, one very senior official, who can't be named or directly quoted, said the only issue now is release of all the hostages. After that, President Carter is prepared to discuss any substantive issue with the Iranians. Mr. Carter is also known to be considering an international trade embargo of Iran if Americans are put on trial for spying, although he is not inclined to include food as an embargo item. Bill Lynch, NBC News, the White House.
2 American visitors showed up at the United States Embassy in Tehran today. We have a report from NBC News correspondent Rick Davis.
The cold and wet day in Tehran turned off the usually big crowds at the embassy gates. The few that were here were still turned on by television cameras. There were the usual chants. Into this walked 2 Americans from the University of Kansas, Professor Norman Foray and Clarence Dillingham. Foray had been in Iran before and says he made anti-Shah speeches in the U.S. before the revolution. The men say they represent an Iranian-American friendship group. They did get inside the embassy. They were there for about an hour and a half. The rain fell. The small crowd waited. The news media hoped for word about the hostages. There had been no other known developments today. But when they came out, Foray and Dillingham had little to say. They never saw the hostages. They spoke only to students. But Foray seemed hopeful.
We believe the ice has been broken, but we have a lot of work to do.
They didn't say how much ice had been broken. They said they would have more to say later. Then the 2 men walked away in the rain, the latest characters introduced in this confused story. But it's really uncertain if they are at all important to it. Rick Davis, NBC News, Tehran.
Also in Tehran, Revolutionary Guards loyal to Khomeini stormed the office of a human rights activist and arrested 6 people. Secretary of State Vance leaves for Europe tomorrow. He'll discuss the situation in Iran with leaders in Europe. John Palmer, NBC News, Washington.
All right, back at NFL 79, should further developments in and around warrant it, of course, we will keep you up to date right here on NBC. We're at halftime for our game at the Kingdome in Seattle. Denver Broncos out in front of the Seattle Seahawks by a 20-14 count. We'll get to the highlights of that game in a moment, but first, another word about our involvement in the Moscow Olympics in 1980. We take another timeout for this Olympic moment.
This Olympic moment is brought to you by the Bell system. When it comes to solving business communications problems, the system is the solution.
It is almost 84 years since the Olympic Games were revived in Athens. Then 311 athletes from 13 countries competed in this first Olympiad. Many of the events contested still remain on the Olympic program, but there were also many events which were gradually eliminated from the Games as we know them today. Tennis was an Olympic sport for men at the first Games in 1896. And 4 years later, it became an event for women as well. Tennis remained an official sport until after the 1924 Paris Games. Such legendary names as Helen Wills, Suzanne Lenglen, Hazel Whiteman, and Vinnie Richards all won Olympic gold medals. Ray Urey of the United States was the greatest standing jumper. From 1900 to 1908, he won every gold medal in the standing high jump, standing broad jump, and standing hop, step, and jump, events which no longer exist on the Olympic program. One of the most dramatic events of early Olympiads was the tug of war, which was held from 1900 until 1920. Sweden and Great Britain shared top honors in this event. Each country won 2 gold medals. Polo became an official Olympic sport at the 1908 London Games, and it was played intermittently until the Berlin Games of 1936. Great Britain and Argentina each won 2 of the 4 gold medals awarded. Golf, too, was part of the Olympic program at the turn of the century, but was eliminated from the Olympics after the 1904 St. Louis Games. Perhaps the most dramatic discontinued event took place at the 1924 Paris Games. There, Paavo Nurmi of Finland won 5 gold medals. Though he won the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters on the same day, there are many who believe his greatest victory took place in the 10,000-meter cross-country race, considered a long-distance steeplechase that tested the athlete's strength, speed, and endurance. Under normal conditions, the race was brutal. Under the conditions in which it was run at the Paris Games, the race was an ordeal. There was a terrible heat wave with temperatures of over 100 degrees when the runners started the race. The first man into the stadium, Paavo Nurmi. Are just a few of the great athletes and events that have provided some of the most dramatic moments in Olympic history, but today are all but unknown, found only on the Olympic honor roll called discontinued events.
Challenge. Create a communications nerve center at Lake Placid, deep in the Adirondacks. Not just phones, but new cables, a new electronic switching system, provisions for multilingual services, and a new light wave and microwave route to transmit television pictures.
Systems operative.
The purpose? To bring you all the excitement of the 1980 Winter Olympics. The Bell system, keeping your communication system the best in the world.
At halftime of our game in the Kingdome, Denver out in front of Seattle 20-14 on the strength of 20 second quarter points. And it has been an aerial affair. Jim Zorn 12 of 18, 167 yards. Craig Morton 14 of 22, 175 yards. It was Seattle early on that jumped on the board. 7-0, first score of the ball game. 1st and 5 on the 17. Sherman Smith up the middle, 7-0 Seahawks. They padded it out to 14. But then in the second quarter, it was all Broncos. Denver's ball, 2nd and 10. And from the 23, Craig Morton to Ron Egloff down to the 2. They go over from there, but they missed the extra point. That made it 14-13. But here was the other score. Denver's ball, second down and goal. Ball from the 6, Craig Morton to Haven Moses. Touchdown, Denver goes out in front by a 20-14 count. Earlier today, Dallas at the Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia turned back the Eagles 24-17 and regained possession of first place in the NFC East. Both teams now tied atop that division at 10-5, but should they remain in a tie, Dallas would get the home field advantage in the playoffs on the basis of a better division record. This 1979 National Football League game is brought to you by Dodge. Test drive the new 1980 Dodge cars, engineered with room, styling, ride, and handling. By Schlitz, make the most of now. From the life you live to the beer you drink, go for it. By Levi's Sportswear, where quality never goes out of style. And by AC Delco, quality automotive parts for quality motoring. Go with the names you know, AC Delco. 4 times the Broncos and the Seahawks have gotten together. Seattle's still looking for victory number 1. They're down by 6. We've got a second football half to come, so let's go back to Seattle and Dick Enver.
Well, that first half gone just about as expected. Seattle scoring 14 and Denver coming back 20-14. Wide open offense, and Merlin Olsen at the current pace, they're working on a possible combined 1,000-yard day.
Well, it's certainly not a defensive day in the first half. Both offenses getting big plays, and most of that via the pass. The running game has been effective only for getting that short yardage, but both teams have apparently been able to get those first downs when they needed them too. A lot of times defensively, you look at a game by how much you give up, and many games you felt great about if you kept the team under 100 yards. That's a super game. Under 200, a very acceptable game. Both these teams well over 200 in the first half.
So the Denver defense will try to put the clamps on Zorn, and Seattle's going to have to try to find a way to stop that combination of Morton and Moses. We'll be right back with the second half.
It's the Delco Freedom Battery Sale. What do you want from a car battery, America?
Freedom to start in the cold. Thanks, Delco.
And you? Freedom from adding water. Thanks, Delco. Then come on to the Delco Freedom Battery Sale. AC Delco is making it possible for you to save on the powerful, never-add-water Delco Freedom Battery. At participating outlets when you see the Delco Freedom Battery Sale poster.
Thanks, Delco!
You're looking at a revolutionary GTE Sylvania street light bulb that uses 10% less energy than the bulb it replaces. But the truly amazing part is, it gives more light. An almost unbelievable 80% more light. Imagine using 10% less energy and getting 80% more light. G. No, GTE.
The second half at the Kingdome in Seattle. Denver will kick it to the Seahawks, leading 20-14. Jeff Moore 32, Tony Green 34, deep for the Hawks. Turner's kick coming to Moore, the rookie, at the 8. 20. He's got speed. 30. 40. Oh, a face mask penalty against Jim Turner, who picked up the hanky and threw it away. He knew he was guilty. Well, Turner trying to bulldog down that speedy rookie Jeff Moore.
Well, it's really not a joking matter. The reason the penalty is in is because it's dangerous to tackle with that mask. I think Turner reaching for anything he could get a hold of here. Moore almost broken loose. Turner, one of the last lines of defense, got up there into the face, hooked the mask as Moore was breaking away, and is flagged for the foul.
And it's a big one, 15 more yards. So Seattle opens the second half at the 37-yard line.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 15. Here. First down.
The penalty can be either a 5-yard or a 15-yard call. In this case, the 15 is assessed because it really was a dangerous yank on that mask. If it's just touching the mask or hanging onto the mask, the official has to use his discretion and call the penalty either one way or the other.
And although the word flagrant conjures up intent, it certainly was not. Turner just grabbed whatever he could to try to stop him. And the point was well taken. It is not a funny matter. That could be very serious. Sherman Smith seriously pounding to the 30-yard line, where it'll be 2nd down and 2, Seattle.
These Seahawks are a little sensitive about that kind of thing because of the loss of David Sims earlier in the year. But we should correct some of the information that went out in talking to Jack Patera. He said that people talked about a ruptured disc in the neck area of Sims. In fact, it was a congenital condition that forced him to retire, and he did that voluntarily because of the advice that had been given him by the Seattle doctor.
Well, the vertebra had that natural protection, and apparently he was born with not enough bone in that vertebra in the neck area, and so it's, with such a serious condition, his career is over. Great athlete. Sherman Smith picking his way for 5 more and a first down. You have to be impressed with the effort of Smith today. He's caught the ball well, and he has picked up key yardage on the ground.
We're opening this half the way we filled out the first half, with big offensive plays and not much defense right now.
Craig Morton getting tuned up for his turn. Smith had 33 yards rushing in the first half and has been the workhorse in this first drive in the second half. Zorn audibleizing apparently, trying to move Largent up. He's down to 5 seconds on the clock and a timeout call. Now, rather than make a mistake, Zorn spends a timeout, something that could be a factor as we get into the final minutes of this contest.
Well, that's twice in the game that he's done that, and not the kind of thing you'd like to do very often. The man in the white shirt on the sideline is Howard Mudd, a longtime guard for the San Diego 49ers.
Hillsdale College.
Hillsdale College. I used to battle with Howard. He and I used to have some great goes. He is a very bright offensive coach, and in fact, taken the time on several occasions when he was coaching and I was still playing to devise some special plays for me. Rather a dirty trick, I thought.
Mudd there with Jack Patera. Patera in his 4th year now with this young organization. He played 7 years in the NFL as a guard and linebacker with the Colts and the Cardinals and the Cowboys. Defensive line coach from 2 great defensive units. Minnesota Vikings, the purple people eaters, and the fearsome foursome of the Rams. That speaks for itself. If you grade the teacher by the pupil, and Patera gets high grades. And yet here, as you said, the frustration has been that he just has not mustered a strong defense, and yet that has always been his perspective.
That's been his strength. One of the reasons that I think Patera has been successful here, though, is he had some experience with a playoff team, Jack. Jack was with the first playoff team, or the first expansion team in the Cowboy, first year of the Cowboys.
And that was a long year for Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Out of the backfield is Dornick, and he's out of bounds at the 20-yard line after a gain of about 5.
Interesting switch of uniforms on the sideline. Normally you would see that man in past years in the black and silver of Oakland, and yet he's now a very warm and well-accepted part of this Denver team. It's funny what happens. Strange bedfellows in this game, Dick.
Atkinson, who's used as a 5th and 6th defensive back and on the special teams. Ball is spotted closer to the 21-yard line, so it's 2nd down and 6. Largent in motion inside to give to Smith. Look at him break tackles to the 15 and close to another first down. He's a big guy at 225. His cousin is Mike Cobb, the Chicago Bears tight end. Sure, watching from back in the Windy City area. Smith has gained now 51 yards to lead all rushers.
Might go inside and look at what's happening to the defense of the Broncos. Randy Gradishar, number 53, a fine linebacker, but he's been having his troubles in there today. A close look at him here in the middle of your picture. Gets screened away from the play and just gets a hand on Sherman Smith, and you do not tackle Sherman Smith with a hand or an arm.
Well, I like those 2 young linemen, Lynch 61 and Yarno 51. Some say Yarno's the next all-pro center. 3rd and inches, and he didn't make it. Jeff Moore, I believe, or was it Dornick? They pushed him back before he got to the line of scrimmage.
Dornick, I think, trying to jump over the top, and he met the linebackers of the Denver Broncos coming over the top, and they won the battle. Randy Gradishar, and I've said it before, I think is the finest short yardage linebacker in football. Times his leap right here is going to come up over the top, changed his direction, and still put his helmet right in the middle of Dornick's chest. He was the man that made the stop.
Boy, that was a remarkable effort by Gradishar and shows you why he is all NFL. Herrera, is he going to kick it? No. Zorn, is he going to run it? No, and he hits Herrera. Incomplete, but the fans loved it anyway. He drilled that ball right through the chest of Herrera.
Herrera, an unlikely receiver. He caught one earlier in the year for a big first down. And you watch the play here. We talked about the tricks that they'll pull on you. And, of course, you can do that when a quarterback is back holding that ball. I think he might have been able to run for that first down. An unlikely receiver, Dick.
He'll have a bruise into February on his chest. Timeout, 20-14, Denver.
I feel like I couldn't be any more comfortable than I am right now.
We're eavesdropping with hidden cameras as a big car owner test drives the new Dodge Diplomat.
It's got a great ride. You know, it's not noisy. We're talking good gas mileage. You're definitely talking about a winner.
If you're moving down for better mileage, but want to keep that big car feeling, see the re-engineered 1980 Dodge Diplomat.
It's got all the comfort I need, and I'm a big guy.
Get a 1980 Diplomat now at a participating dealer and get a $300 check direct from Chrysler.
Here's the estimate.
A lot of money for a small home.
Rebuilding costs are going
Through the roof. Glad it wasn't the whole house.
What if it were? Could your insurance rebuild it today?
I never thought of it.
Allstate has. We have homeowners insurance that can increase your coverage as rebuilding costs go up automatically.
You're smart to keep up with rising rebuilding costs.
Yeah, glad I thought of it.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us, the good hands people.
Wednesday, sail aboard the Raging Queen with host Michael Palin, musical guest James Taylor, the Nerds, and more on the best of Saturday Night Live. Let's party.
Now, one of the many tricks in the Seattle bag, but Herrera, the ball got there a little too soon, like a fastball eating up a hitter.
It looked like he tried to figure out where he was going to run before he controlled that football, and he's very upset with himself. You see the emotion. He said, I'm a good receiver.
First play for the Broncos of the second half on offense, and Keyworth gets a yard. You know, that we should point out, though, why there's sellout after sellout here in Seattle. Even though the pass was incomplete, after the reaction of the fans' first disappointment, there was no first down. They gave the offense a standing ovation when they left the field. We pause now for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KING-TV, Seattle.
Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen in the Kingdome, Seattle. Denver leads at 20-14 early in the third quarter. Denver ball second down and 9, and that Seattle defense becomes a little tougher against the run. Jackson and veteran Carl Eller made the play. Well, that Eller, he is streamlined at 37 years of age.
Now, Carl approaching the end of his career, a long and distinguished one. He, along with Jim Marshall, anchored that Minnesota Purple People Eater line for a long while, and Jack Patera, looking for some help with his pass rush, went to Eller. Eller's done a good job for him. A class gentleman, too. Very nice man.
Third down and 10 for Craig Morton and the Denver Broncos. Morton's success in this game has been with the pass, not the run necessarily. He was hot in the second quarter. He's in trouble and finds some running room and intercepted. Harris fumbles, but he had possession last at the 35-yard line. So Seattle gets a big turnover.
Seattle crowd responding to that big play by the defense, and that's what they needed to pick them up here in this third quarter. Morton under pressure, does a good job of evading the rush. Just steps his way through that pocket, slips out right there, and throws a bad pass. It just got away from him. Way over his intended receivers. 44, that's John Harris. Ball out of his hands, but as we saw it earlier, you've got to control it before it gets out of bounds if you're going to pick it up in a fumble.
Steve Watson was the man who forced the fumble, but Seattle has it at the 35 of the Broncos. Looking for the long bomb. Zorn to Largent. Touchdown! Steve Largent, who leads the NFL in receiving yardage, was 0 in the first half. One catch, no yards, but his first one is in the plus category, goes all the way.
Well, and I think that's the mark of a good team. You get a turnover, you capitalize on it. You come right back. The defense sagging a little bit. They had to be down. And Zorn quickly took advantage of it, fires a perfect strike to Largent, who's beaten Foley in the end zone, makes a great catch. 6 points. They'll go for the 7th.
This for the lead by Herrera, and Seattle is in front. Well, Dave Niehaus, our old friend who's the voice of the Seattle Mariners, points out that this is the park of the long bomb. More home runs hit here in the American League than any major league ballpark. And Largent shows the home run works in football as well. 6 points for the Seahawks. Herrera's extra point gives them the lead. And with 10:22 left in the third quarter,
Merry Christmas to all of you from all of us at Schlitz.
If a man's slacks fit him too close for comfort, if he just can't stand to sit, then he needs Levi's Action Slacks, perhaps the most comfortable slacks a man can wear. The waistband and fabric stretch to give you more room when you need it.
Comfortable?
Comfortable. I could sit through a double feature now.
Levi's Action Slacks from Levi's Sportswear, where quality never goes out of style.
Tomorrow on NBC, there's a dynamite doubleheader. First, exciting regional action featuring the Dolphins versus the Lions and Buffalo at Minnesota, followed by the Browns-Raiders clash for a possible wild card berth. Check local listings for the game in your area.
interception by Harris. One play later, Zorn to his favorite target, Largent, 35-yard touchdown. And Seattle now leads 21-20 before this sellout house at the Kingdome. Herrera to kick it off. Payne and Preston are deep. Good kick. Chris Payne at the goal line. To the 20. And tipped up at the 28-yard line, and there are flags flying in the Kingdome. A sea of yellow back near a clip at the 15-yard line. Kerry Justin credited with a tackle, and apparently number 86, Jesse Green, was clipped.
Number 40, Charlie West, back in the middle of the area where all those flags fell, although we'll have to let the officials sort it out.
As they do, Merlin, going back to that Zorn touchdown throw to Largent, as we first listen to Cal Lepore. Now, he's not going to talk to us this time. But there's plenty of calls. That's why we saw so many yellow flags. The trajectory of Zorn's pass was something to remark about. Normally, you throw that ball much higher. He almost laid that out on a line like an outfielder throwing a ball to home plate.
Now, Zorn has amazing strength for his size and puts it up there with a perfect spiral on it. Again, though, the ball had to be a little bit above the head of number 43, Steve Foley, or it would have been intercepted.
So it's 21-20, and Denver on the penalty.
Holding 58 over here. Decline. Personal foul. Clipping. 40 here. It's a first.
House. Denver, now trailing by a point, has to start inside its 10-yard line, and the crowd has come to life in Seattle. Morton going long for Moses. Incomplete, penalty flag against Justin. Well, that's 2 times Justin has been called for bumping Moses. And Seattle's defense has not been able to contain number 25, Haven Moses.
Well, credit that to experience of a wide receiver who knows how to work a cornerback. Justin doing everything he can to stay with Moses. Moses is going to bump into Justin and then do a pretty good job of acting, right? That's a tough penalty to have to accept for a defense. At the same time, the rules are very specific, and they do protect the receiver when that ball is in the air. Jack Patera not so certain that Justin was guilty in that case.
Well, Patera on the bench, as well as the fans, can look up at the television screen. They saw the same replay that you did. Let's see it again.
Let's take a quick look at it. Now, if Justin bumps Moses while the ball is in the air, and it's a question of who bumped whom. Did Moses bump into Justin, or did Justin bump into Moses? I think maybe Patera had a reason to squawk on that one.
Nevertheless, a 48-yard penalty, and Morton cannot get off the signal. This crowd now has become a part of the game after they were surprisingly quiet in the first half. Lepore undoubtedly talking to Morton about, hey, if you can, let's try to get a play off. That's the only way we'll quiet this crowd, because you know as soon as they break huddle again, they're going, fans here, 60,000 partisans, are going to let the Broncos have it once again. There was a bump. There was a bump while the ball was in the air. What made that look bad for the official was that Moses didn't fall when he was bumped. He fell down later.
And the official closest did not throw the flag. Another official threw it. That makes it a little difficult to handle, too.
Right up the middle, Jim Jensen with good yardage. Down to about the 35-yard line. Seattle leads Denver 21-20. Bill Gregory, 77, and Michael Jackson, 55, collaborated on the stop for the Seahawks. There have been two very critical interference calls against Kerry Justin that totaled 90 yards. 42 the first time. It led to a Denver touchdown, and 48 on that one. Morton trying to audibilize. You saw Butler, 53, shout something to his defensive teammate. And Rob Lytle scurrying down to the 33-yard line. That's going to be very close to a first down.
I thought that perhaps Seattle's defense would feed off the emotion of this crowd, but they're not doing a very good job of controlling that Bronco offense. And, of course, a critical time in this game, you've got a one-point lead. You've got to play some good defense. You've got to keep Denver off that scoreboard.
As they measure, reminder that the Dallas Cowboys won a crucial contest in Philadelphia, beating the Eagles 24-17 today to move back into a first-place tie with Philadelphia. And we had another score of interest, especially to those fans in Denver. The 4A championship went to Fairview. The reason that's important is those youngsters moved their game to this morning. Otherwise, this telecast would not be seen in Denver. And you can imagine how unhappy the Bronco fans would have been had they not been able to see Red Miller's team in action. First down play from the 33. Morton to Lytle. Didn't Morton do a good job of that long pump fake to Upchurch and then feeding it to his running back Lytle for what appears to be close to another first down, a gain of about 8.5.
Morton continues to amaze me. I've always been impressed with his throwing ability, but his courage is also impressive. He hung on to that football until the last possible second, and I think that's where you really test a quarterback. He knows he's going to be hit. He knows he's going to take a sack. If he'll hang on to that football, give his receiver all the time he can, and then deliver it on target, that is impressive.
Well, you met a lot of those quarterbacks. You don't have to give me the answer right away, but who was the toughest in your mind in that regard that you played against? Morton to Upchurch. Boy, is he tough in that open field, and Kerry Justin finally got him out of bounds after a first down at about the 18-yard line. Do you have an answer to that?
I do have an answer, and a man I respected on the field and off, John Unitas was the toughest.
And he didn't have a great body, did he? I mean, I don't mean to be unkind to Johnny. But I saw him in the locker room, and it was hard to believe that what appeared to be a fragile body could take the punishment that it did.
Well, he did. He took it. He took all you dish out, and he'd bounce up off the ground and come right back at you. And he would hang on until the last possible second. When I talk about courage, that's the kind of thing you test in a quarterback. Morton has a great deal of it, but I think Unitas had more than anybody I faced.
First down at the 18-yard line. Denver trailing 21-20. Morton to Jensen. He gets to the 15-yard line. There the tackle finished off by Peter Cronin, 57. Those two young defensive tackles of the Seahawks, Robert Hardy, 75, a rookie from Jackson State. Mano Tuiososopo from UCLA, the #1 draft pick of the Seahawks.
Down inside, Tom Glassick, number 62, doing a fine job on that last play of getting a big block. Look at him right in the middle of your picture. Number 62 slips around Tuiososopo and gets on number 57, Peter Cronin. And although Cronin gets the tackle, it's about 3 yards down the field. Good job by Tom Glassick. Good job by the defender, too. Good play on both sides.
one of the featured performers on NFL 79 Classic, one of our features. Moses incomplete. He had beaten Dave Brown. The pass a little too long, so Morton a bit unhappy with himself. He had a possible touchdown in his grasp, just a little off target.
I imagine that Kerry Justin glad to see him go to the other side for a change. They've been banging on his door quite often. There's Moses in isolation. A couple of little shoulder moves right there. Runs away from number 22, Dave Brown. But the football thrown a little high and a little long. Moses had no chance at it.
Third down conversions. Denver in the game, 2 for 8. It's 3rd and 7 at the 15-yard line. Dave Preston down to the 11. That'll be short of the first down. And Red Miller's club going to go for the field goal and a 2-point lead. Turner, early in the game, if you were not with us, made a 36-yard field goal, but Denver guilty of a 5-yard infraction, and Turner then missed from 41. He also has had an extra point blocked. So this is, although a fairly short-range try, is far from a certainty.
And we have to talk about another field goal, the one that Seattle did not try. Well within Efrain Herrera's range, they tried to go for the big one, lost what could have been a certain 3 points. 29-yard attempt is good. Denver regains the lead with 7 minutes and 1 second left in the third quarter. This high-powered offensive game continues. 23-21 Broncos.
If life would just stand still and wait for you to focus, you'd never miss a picture. But life doesn't stand still. You need the SX70 sonar. It'll focus itself for you, set the exposure, and hand you the picture. No other camera can do it all. Now you can get all the shots you might have missed. Polaroid's SX70 sonar, the world's smartest camera.
The Mitsubishi Bridge from Japan to Dodge.
From a passenger car line, which is in total the most technologically advanced fleet in Japan, here's the Dodge Challenger with the advanced silent shaft MC8 jet engine for smooth, efficient performance. Now sticker price lower than last year. $170 less than Toyota Celica liftback, yet just as fully equipped. Test drive Dodge Challenger.
Take the Mitsubishi Bridge to your Dodge dealer.
Issaquah, room 14. The happy faces up here in the King County.
Turner may have turned some of those to frowns at that field goal as they jump into a 23-21 lead here.
Yeah, but the way this game is designed, 8 minutes into the third quarter, and the lead has already changed twice in this third quarter.
Temporary situation.
Now Turner to kick it off. Hits a line drive down the middle. That's scooped up nicely by Tony Green. He's to the 20 and tripped up from behind at the 24-yard line. Glenn Hyde made a fine open field tackle.
Glenn Hyde, one of the resident crazies on this Bronco team. He's the wedge buster, right down the middle, running for all he's worth. Watch him go through, gets through the wedge right there. Fine job of getting past Larry Pulowski, number 50, and just a shoestring tackle on Tony Green. That's an amazing play.
You know, as he ran downfield, he certainly lived up to his team's nickname. He runs like a Bronco. He had that little hop in his gait. Jim Zorn and his Seahawks now trail 23-21. Begins at the 23-yard line. Zorn is 14 of 21, hitting 2 out of 3 passing. Play action. Wide open is Brian Peets. 37-yard line. First down as Zorn goes to his tight end.
That's twice today that Zorn has utilized a throwback pass, running to his left and throwing back to his right. The other a big play that set up a touchdown. Watch Zorn here looking down at his receivers, doing a good job of pulling the defense over, and then a quick throwback pass to Peets, his tight end. That's an interesting play, a very unique play to take advantage of the quick flow of the Denver defense. They move so quickly with the ball, they do leave some open territory.
And Sherman Smith, after the play-action fake to Smith, peeled back and picked off a Bronco lineman as he completed his job. He is a complete player. First down at the 37. Largent in motion. Draw. Dornick. right into the arms of number 72, Don Latimer. Tonight on NBC, we hope you'll watch one of the outstanding weekend features here on this network. Chips, BJ and the Bear, A Man Called Sloan. That's the lineup for your entertainment this evening on NBC television. Little House on the Prairie on Monday night. Merlin Olsen, do you know if you have a prominent role in that edition?
I don't know what's on Monday night. I should have looked that up before it came out today.
You know, I haven't heard from Michael Landon yet.
No calls. Not a single call.
He hasn't even sent me a hat. Second down, 9, Seattle. Zorn.
Oh, and that's his second. That's the third time today. There's something happening on the field that you can look at the disgust. I guess that's the only word to reflect what Jack Patera is feeling right now.
You'd almost figure at this point you're better off taking the 5-yard penalty than wasting another timeout. We'll be back. 23-21 the score.
Don't blink. It's Boulevard watch time. We offer time to you in more beautiful ways than anyone else in the world. In fact, when this commercial is over, there will still be over 500 different Boulevard watches that you haven't seen. That's, oops, you blinked, Boulevard watch time.
To ride the rolling thunder and feel the power of freedom, you go for it. You go for all the gusto you can get, making the most of now. From the life you live to the beer you drink. And the one beer brewed with gusto since 1849 is Schlitz, the official beer of the Winter Olympics. Go for it.